How to measure the ROI, that is the return of investments or return on investments, depending on how you want to put it, of your search engine optimization efforts. Welcome to the Marketing Club, where you always get great information about topics that we can cover across the board and give you insights that allow you to become better at your craft, better at what you do and how you do things. So this is one of those rooms that we're going to have a very good conversation and talk through how you can even start thinking about measurements, because there are different measurements for different things, right? And as you measure different things, there's some things that you have to pay attention to. There are things that you have to think about. There are things you have to plan. There are things you have to process. And in the process of planning, one of the things that you have to think about is measurement, right? When you're measuring how much sugar, how much salt, how many feet, how many kilograms, how much calories, you count those things, right? And you count them, right? Because you are looking for measurement, you're looking for the result, right? And that result is something that will consistently be coming. And based on the result that you're going to get, is going to also give somebody the reason to, think through the process. So here's one thing that I definitely know about measurements, and when you think about ROI for SEO, and welcome Azamat, Tyler, and everyone else that's joining us today. When you are measuring your ROI, you're going to do a lot of balancing. You're going to do a lot of scaling. You're going to do a lot of thinking. You're going to do a lot of planning. There's going to be a lot of processing, right? And the more you process, the more you look through all those details, the faster you're able to understand, like, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm looking for, and this is what I want to do long term, right? What is the major key factor, right, for my business? What is a major key driver for my business? How do I measure ROI? How do I measure, distance? How do I measure planning? How do I measure these things so that I'm also ahead of the curve? I don't want to be behind the curve. I don't want to be in a place where I'm just doing things for doing sake. I want to do things because I want to get better. I want to feel that I can actually make decisions, and those decisions will also impact the positivity and the outcome of my business, right? Welcome, Mally, Brian, and Marina. You're looking at measuring your ROI as a business because you're thinking about how much you're putting in, right? You can't give what you don't have. So if you're expecting to get a lot of results from your SEO efforts, it means you need to put a lot of efforts into your SEO. In other words, how does someone put efforts into their SEO? They put efforts into their SEO or into their search engine optimization by focusing on three things. There are more than three, but these are the top three to think about. The first one is your on-page SEO. Your on-page SEO. What does that mean, on page? Whatever you're seeing on the screen is what is being read back to you. So if you have content and you're connecting with people long term, right? Welcome everyone. I guess you all here. Kumbire, Rebecca, Sabiri, Jen, Catherine, Justin, Miriam. Thank you for being here. When you're creating content and you're measuring your ROI and you're thinking about SEO, especially how much to put in, you're looking at your on page, your off page, your technical. Your on page is what people are constantly seeing, right? Your off page is what people are going to measure, right? Based on interaction, brand, PR, mentions. Those are the things people are going to be looking out for, right? Then there's technical. How fast is your website? How slow does it load? Do you have too many images that are not, within a good size format or file format? How do you measure those things? Where do you take those from point A to point B? So when you're thinking about measuring the ROI of your SEO efforts, you're thinking also about measuring what you're doing right now. If I'm doing one article a day and my competitor is doing 10 articles a day, by day 7, you're going to have 70 articles that actually, let me put it this way. If you have one a day and your competitor has 10 a day, then if you have 7 in a week and they have 70 by the end of the week, then you have way more to cover week over week to measure up to that potential that that person is already on, right? And because that person is covering more ground, more topics, more information, they're going to get more results. That's how you think about measuring. If you put $5 a day and your competitor puts $50 a day, your competitor is going to get more because they're adding more to the fire, they're adding more to the pipeline, they're adding more to the base. And then you're just surrounding the base with something or sprinkling through it. So that's where there's a difference, right? Now, if you're thinking about measuring your SEO efforts without even making any payments online for advertising, then you need to ask yourself to how many pages am I pushing out? Like today is January 31st, right? If you have a website, how many pages have you released or published this year that was not existing by this time last year? If the answer still stays 0, then you can't really measure those efforts. You can based on other links that you published, but you can't really measure in real time what it could have been if you had an article last year and an article this year to see how the threshold also matches, right? You also have to think about what time people are checking out your website. Where are they connecting? If you're going to write an article at 6 a.m. and your audience shows up at 12 p.m., is that a good thing or a bad thing? If you write at 6 p.m. the previous night and then they show up at 6 a.m. in the morning, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Right? You're always asking those questions because people are always thinking about, okay, how fresh, how new, how recent is this information? It might be recent to you because you've never heard it before. It might be old to someone else because they heard it the first time it was published. So you're not just looking at your ROI on your business or your website as, okay, we're just getting clicks, because everybody can get clicks. You can click this, you can click that, but those clicks should tell you something, right? They should give you insight about something that you're creating. I'll give you an example. Today I was on a call with a client and we're planning for Valentine's Day because they sell premium, hairstyles, wigs, really nice platform, really nice business. And they have two big markets, US and Ghana. So I said, okay, if we want to start reaching out to people doing Valentine's, then before we even start telling them what to buy, we need to show them what is available, right? And especially when you have a lot of products, when you have a lot of things. So we decided to create a collection so that you can use that collection to now run ads and we can focus on just a Valentine's collection. Now, there's usually pre-purchase and there's post-purchase, right? So pre-purchase is, what are the best human hair wigs that are premium, that look natural, that I can be able to wear for the holiday or wear for a Valentine's dinner date, for example. Now, when you have that kind of question, now the post purchase is going to be how to maintain my hair, right? How do I wash it? How do I treat it? Those are going to be questions that people are going to ask even before they purchase something. When they're purchasing, when you go to the mall and you look at this nice t-shirt or this nice dress or this nice shoe, you're going to think about the quality after you buy it. So okay, this will last me 2 years, this will last me 5 years, or this would not last me a weekend. It depends on what you're trying to get. So when you're measuring the length of the time that you're going to have this value product, and then you're thinking about the efforts you're making now to maintain that product. So if you're creating content, welcome Lola, when you're creating content, right, your content has to measure out the long-term plan. When you measure out the long-term plan of your SEO efforts, you're looking at the long-term existence of how people are finding your content consistently, right? Whether you're writing a LinkedIn newsletter, whether you are writing an article, whether you're publishing an article on a different platform, all those things have to make sense. And if they're making sense, it means that it's also making sense. There are two words, sense, SENSE, and sense, CENTS. When you have the ability to measure that out, right? Now you can see how far you can go. On average, when you start looking at your content, right, from a content delivery standpoint, hey Kendra, from a standpoint of just creating content consistently, then you can look back, you can measure, and then you can say, okay, I did 5 articles this week or this month, and this is what I got. When you look at your analytics, you're like, oh, okay, this is what people are searching for. This is what people are asking for. So in this case, for example, with the wigs, I now searched and I said, okay, where in the US are people looking for wigs? Where are they looking to buy wigs? The most. Of course, everyone's looking for something everywhere. But where is the highest population density of where this information is looked out for? And I found 4 states. Actually, let me drop it down. 4 cities. 4 cities. We found 4 cities that have been searching for this in the last 30 days. Hey, Bianca and Tristan and Shay. 4 cities. And these 4 cities are so specific that we looked again and we're like, yeah, this is exactly where people are going to be searching for. Because if you start running ads outside these 4 states or these 4 cities or these 4 areas, then yeah, you might get results, but it won't be targeted results because we're looking at the last 5 years and we're looking at the last 30 days and we realize it's consistent. And this is the time between January and April is the best time to buy wigs from what I've seen. I don't own one, I don't have one, but when I do research and I do business with clients and we look into industries, I'm able to look at data and I'm able to detect those things. So we know that the next time there's going to be a spike in wig sales is going to be October. Why? Because that's Halloween. That's when people wear wigs. That's when people look for things to have on. So it makes sense. So we're like, okay, if we're going to have to use the first quarter of the year to run ads, then how are we going to measure the ROI of our SEO efforts? We said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to write articles to talk about the products that people are looking for the most. So there are different types of styles. Which one is the best style or which is the most preferred style at this time in those areas, in those cities? And if those cities have a special taste, then we need to match up to the taste. So doing that gets us very close and very connected to the people who are searching for those products so that organically, when it's posted to a point where people can actually connect with and they can see, this person is writing for me because they actually understand my problem, what I'm going through, right? I know that this is the top 10 zip codes that people look for them. If they're going online, I already know they're going to about 4 different other brands to look for, shopping ideas or shopping experiences. So by doing these things allow you to really understand how to measure it out. That's one way to measure. You're measuring out by content delivery and content distribution. Now, the second way to do this, I'm going to bring your attention to the top of this room. If you click the link above, what you see up there is, and this is because people have been asking for workshops. So I said, it's time for us to get on a workshop again. So next month, February 27th, we're going to have a workshop on high performance ROI with email marketing. And the link is above. You can look at it. Let me know if you have any questions. Sign up and pre-order and get in before that time. And this is the first announcement. So if you have any questions, you'll be seeing more of this in this next month. because I've been trying to figure out, okay, how do people get better at what they're doing? And email marketing is at the core of it. When you click the link above and you scroll down, you're going to see my stats. So you can actually see the graphs and you can actually look at the numbers yourself to make a decision. Because when people see numbers, they can really understand the value of what's coming. So when you read the details, you'll be able to see all that there. And I can't wait to see you in there too. Because when you're measuring the ROI of your SEO efforts, the second thing you have to think about is your email marketing. That's a very important part of the puzzle. I'll give you another example of a client that we're working with. She sells, we deal with e-commerce and B2B as well. So product and service. So with her, she has a product, right? And with her product, she was using Klaviyo, and Klaviyo is quite expensive. I've used it myself. I like it, but for the price, I think they can do better. And also aesthetically, they could do better too. And for me, it's not even about the aesthetics or how to send an email, it's the sender reputation. That's the thing that matters the most to me. Like, are you compliant? Are you ethically marketing? Are you sending high volume emails that actually have good scores? Those are good things that I'm looking out for. So she had about less than, like, short of 4,000 subscribers. And this was like November. This was just in November. She was short of that. As like, hey, we got to move. How much are you spending on Klaviyo per month? Between 70 to $80. It could even be higher, because the higher your email list is, the more you pay, which to me is a big scam. Because if there's a platform like Flowdesk that allows you to have unlimited subscribers for as low as $19 a month, then there's some things we have to rethink. So I told her, let's move over to Flowdesk. So we moved over the contacts, the workflows, the templates, everything. We moved everything over. Now, as I'm speaking to you right now, she was less than 4,000. Now she's close to about 5.5K subscribers, and we've not run ads. All we did was have two pop-ups, one on the homepage and another one as a landing page. And she's building a community. She's building a paid community. So I'm like, you have now over 5,000, subscribers. Now, what are you going to do with this 5,000? So we had to start segmenting. We now do polls. We do polls. We get to ask them, what do they like? We even ask them, what day of the week do you like shopping? Like, we got very specific to the point where we know when they like shopping, when they don't like shopping, what day of the week they like shopping, what time of day. So when you start connecting with people like that, by the time you send an email, you're almost guaranteed that you're giving people what they're asking for. So now she has over that. And we said, okay, it's time to set up a WhatsApp group so that the people who are really, really interested, yes, you have a good email list, but you also want to have a dedicated community, because you want to have a paid community. She had 4 WhatsApp contacts on Monday, right? I asked her, she was so down. She was like, Favor, how many have 4? And I was like, don't worry, we're gonna wake it up. And by today, I checked, she's almost at 100 contacts on her WhatsApp. And we've not run ads. This is all email communication. This is workflow. This is Flowdesk. This is high performance return on investment. And now she's about to start doing Zoom rooms so that she can start, having her in her private, sessions, because she has an in-store location. She has an online store, and she's doing well. She just opened her store last year, like before the end of last year. So these things are happening because of scaling, because of SEO efforts, because we're putting things out there consistently to show people that this is what you're looking for, this is how you have it. She has a size guide, she has a size chart. She even has a video explaining the size guide. Some people just leave it at, here's your size guide, here you go. But she went ahead to actually give you a video to show you that she has your time. So when you're creating content, right? Welcome, Carol. When you're creating content and you're using emails, that is a great way to extend and let people know what you do. Because right now, yes, you can get all the traffic in the world, but if that traffic is not translating to leads, sales, referrals, I don't know. I don't know what those leads are doing or what that traffic could do. Because you also need dedicated traffic. You need targeted traffic. You need traffic from a source. If I have traffic all day, but this traffic, users are great, but they're not really my audience, then of what benefit are those analytics to me? If I can't go back and retarget them, if I can't nurture them, if not anyone can even leave their contact information with me, that could be a problem. So we're looking at this from a long-term perspective, right? We're looking at this from a long-term perspective. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to make sure that if we want to measure, then we also need to scale, right? And we need to scale by doing it so well that someone feels like they actually could feel that this is being done organically and not being done in a in a salesy way, because nobody likes being sold to, but everyone loves a good story, everyone loves a good message, everyone loves a good ending. So if you're going to give that type of experience to someone, then how are you going to do that? By creating content, is by creating content so that when you start accumulating traffic, that traffic can go into leads, right? So when you now acquire those leads, you can email those leads back to your website. So it's like a ping pong, it's like a frisbee, right? I pass it to you, you pass it back to me, right? So if I'm going to send you an email talking about a topic that you came into my website for that was of interest to you, now I'm giving you more information about what you came in for. Now you feel more connected. Imagine if you signed up to my email list today, and then for a whole year you don't hear from me, and then I send you an email maybe like by the end of the year saying, "Hey, Black Friday, what's up? Let's have a sale." It won't look pretty and it won't look good, because someone will be like, "Where have you been all year? Now is when you're coming." It's not going to happen. And chances of that happening are slim, unless you're going to a totally new audience, and that's a lot more work. So why not focus on the people who are already there, right? Than trying to figure out who's outside when you already have a full plate inside. So if you want more people to come in and connect with you, then you have to make room. How do you make room? You make room by creating more pages, right? You create more pages so that more people can land on your website, more people can land on your surveys, more people can land on platforms that they can actually connect back with you, and then you're able to still give them value at the end of the day. So when you're measuring on investment, especially with SEO, you're looking at the number of links you had last year, the year before, and now. So if you look at January 31st, 2023, 2024, and 2025, you should have more content that is actually evergreen than you did last year. And that should have brought you more content, which of course would bring more contacts. And then that allows you to have more context because you're connecting people in a more consistent manner. So when you now send an email, when you send a request for proposal, when you send a reminder, when you send something, they'll feel like this person is actually part of your day, right? And that's how you can connect with people long term. So when you now see that, oh, I'm getting this traffic from here, from here, from here, from here, what you're actually doing is you're measuring how much you could potentially get from that total available market. Because now that people are seeing, oh, one impression, two impressions, three impressions, those are three people that potentially are interested in what you're talking about, that maybe another 3 million people could opt into because you're actually focused on that specific audience. So when you think about websites, there are two types of points, right? There's an entry point and there's an exit point. Somebody's going to enter your website through a link, through maybe a post, through a product, through an about page. Then they'll leave maybe through your contact page, or they'll leave maybe through your FAQ page. But that activity that's going on is something that you're able to measure. Now, there's a way you can also measure it internally, by having a heat map on your website. When you have a heat map on your website, you can measure the tracking systems, you can measure the technology, you can measure how people actually run the business. How do they scroll? Where do they scroll? Who do they look at? Why are they even looking that way? And are they staying on the left side of the page because it's something that's on the left side that's more pleasing than the right side? Those are some questions that you need to answer. So that's the beginning of consistency in quality. because anytime you have new content, that allows you to reproduce the same thing, but now in a much more specific way. Thank you, Vinay. You see, the goal is not just to rank on Google search. These days, it's great to rank, but what's greater is someone ranking, being seen, being appreciated, being clicked through, being saved, being satisfied, because they now can actually feel like they found a home. They found a place they can actually call, you know, a nice haven, if I can put it like that, because now they know that there's a place online that they can go to if they're looking for information, right? So that begins with you as a person to figure out what people need. So let's say you started from scratch, have absolutely no traffic, no leads, no nothing, and you don't know where your audience is. There's a way to now find where your audience is, because there's always an audience for someone, right? Like for this wig I was telling you about, we were trying to figure out, okay, what channel do we run ads on? Now someone can just say, oh, run it on Pinterest, run it on TikTok, run it on Facebook. But my head was saying, what is the data saying? What am I reading from my dashboard? So I now searched it online, and then I showed my client and I said, hey, look at all the social channels in the on the web in the last 5 years that have been doing this same thing. This is a top platform. And I showed, here's number one, here's number two, here's number three. So I was like, okay, well, let's pick the first two. So those first two is what they're going to use. And then on Sunday, after church, we're going to talk about it, and then we'll, plan it out so that throughout the whole week, they start, running ads for Valentine's. So that's a measurement, because you're going to sacrifice some time, to get some things done, but also do them in a way that is also very, experimental. So your goal is not just to run ads or just run commercials. Your goal is to connect people to see the end of the line, to see exactly where they're going, right? What is the focus? What is the driving point? What are people looking more towards? What is that mission statement looking like? Is it something that people want to see? Is it something people understand? Is it something people blend into? If they don't blend into those things, then how will they be able to find and connect back with you? So your goal is to make sure that you can do these things in a very, very sequential way, and do it in a way that actually adds value to your day. So don't just think about your business and just think about running it just because it's available for market, but you can also think about this as a way to connect with people, extend out, and also measure through. Because the more you're able to measure the ROI of your SEO efforts by adding more to the fire, meaning you're more specific with your keywords, you're more specific with your outcome, you're more specific with your call to action, and you're more specific with internally linking to different platforms, then more people will start finding you more responsively. That's how it starts. And then from there, you can now use something to measure. Because when you start from scratch and you're not doing this, in a very sequential way, it will be hard for you to pick it up. So if you're doing it from scratch, you look at the platform, you type in the keyword, you see these are the questions that people are asking about this keyword, and then you answer those questions, not just answering them like flat, but answering them with statistics, with infographics, with videos, with frequently asked questions, with tutorials, with supporting text, with illustrations, with case studies. Those are things that will help your content stand out. Now, when you move to the next topic, you move to the next thing, more people can now start seeing you and start appreciating the content you're delivering. By the time you've answered 20 questions that are actually talking about the same thing, you now become the person people go to, because now you're showing up on different search results and engines because of the value that you're giving them. So it's not just about writing content, it's also about deciding, okay, what content am I using this for? Where am I actually taking this information to? And who's really listening? Because if someone is listening to this content, then there's someone who's valuing this information. It takes a while to really get to the top of the search. It takes a while to really get to the top of your niche. But that's where measurement comes in. You can't get to the top if you don't try. If you're trying to get to the top of the mountain by just, crawling there, it's going to take a while. But if you're jogging, you're running, you're walking, you're speed walking, you're power walking, you're doing things differently, you're testing different measures out, eventually you're going to get there. And by the time you get there, you'll be able to measure back and say, yeah, I did this in 3 miles. I did this in 4 miles. I did this in 2 minutes. I did this in 25 minutes, depending on the score and depending on what you're doing. That's how you're able to value and give people the best results. So just think about your long term plan and also think about how people measure out this information just for you to get the best output. And you're getting the best output because you're getting the best input, meaning that you see what people want, you deliver. Presentation is key. You give them a good presentation slide, you show them this is how it works, this is what happens, this is the whole step procedure, the step design process. Then they can actually make a decision for themselves because now you're giving them enough for them to take home. So it's all about representation, analyzation, optimization, and also thinking about the end user in mind. So I wanted to cover this today just to give you these 3 quick tips. If you have any questions for me, please put them in the chat and I'll be happy to respond back right away. If you'd like to say something specifically, you can come up on stage and let me know so that we can talk about it and get that answer you know satisfied, so that you can also get that information and do the information application process and get to see the results from what you're asking, because sometimes you just have to see the results for yourself and you're like, oh, that's how it works, that's how it goes, that's how things will flow. So I just wanted to give you this information so that you are aware. And if you have any questions specifically, please do not hesitate to reach out to me and then we'll have a conversation from there. So I'll just bring my attention and your attention to the top of this room. If you click the link at the top, it will take you to the high performance ROI with email marketing workshop, and you'll be able to see in there where we're going to be going, what we're going to be doing. And I'm so excited that you're going to be able to learn a good amount of time, 90 minutes. We're going to go through this, go through it well, and you're going to learn so much about how to have a high performance ROI, because it starts off with the base, with the root. How is your technical setup? Are you savvy enough to start scaling out, to start getting the best information out there for people to see? It starts off with those little measures and then it now picks up from there. So I know this is a very important question and not everybody is trying to get this answer, even though that's what their ultimate goal is. Then that's why this room is not so much compared to yesterday's, which was heavy because everyone was trying to figure out how to do podcast SEO strategy. But today it's more of a bottom funnel question. So that's how you measure it. And then of course tools, tools, tools. That's the last thing I'm going to say. Tools. When you use tools like Google Search Console, Google Analytics, Matomo Analytics, when you look at platforms like Crazy Frog, you see different websites, Google Lighthouse, you're able to just search and see, okay, Siteliner, how do these things work? How do they measure? These are the major ways to really start looking at your goals, start seeing what's working, what's not working, and then you start optimizing for growth. When you optimize for growth and you see the growth from there, then it's a big thing for you long term. So these are some things to just pay attention to and see where you're going to go in the new year as well. So I'm really happy that I was able to be here with you today and give you some really cool insights, and I hope you learned something as well. Definitely, I will be here again. I'm probably going to do an SEO Sunday. This Sunday is usually from 6 p.m. Central on Sundays. So if you're not a member like Carol, please click the very top word there that says Marketing Club, and you'll be part of this amazing club so that you don't miss out on the rooms that we have here available for you. So until then, God bless you all. Have a wonderful Friday and happy weekend. I'm going to see you guys soon.